What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another playoff series video. Today we got the first ever series that I witnessed the Blackhawks lose. 2009 conference final, or round 3, against the Detroit Red Wings, who was the second seed and had 112 points next to the Blackhawks. Fourth seed, 104 points, so 8-point differential. Detroit was favorited. Sorry about that. Detroit was favorited. And it was Detroit wins in 5 games. Detroit does win in 5 games, but this was a huge step to making the Hawks a modern-day dynasty, essentially. The adversity they faced here allowed them to go out. They got Marian Hossa next year. They got pieces that had playoff experience, John Madden being one of those, amongst others. And they showed that in 2009 that they were a young team, that they had a very bright future, as no one expected them to get this far. People expected maybe a round 1 victory, round 2, no. And they beat Calgary, they beat Vancouver. Detroit on their way here beat Columbus, they swept them, and they beat Anaheim in 7, who was an 8th seed, so they had trouble getting here. But they dispatched the Hawks in 5, and it was. I'll show you what I mean by it's closer as we go through this. Game 1, they lose 5-2, and it starts with one of the weirdest goals I think I've ever seen by Adam Burish. Like, Osgood was going to play it, and then Burish was not even looking. His stick just hits the puck behind him. Neither knew each other was there, and it just went in the net. So it was pretty funny to see that from Burish, who got his 3rd of the playoffs. Danny Cleary got his 4th of the playoffs to tie it at 1-1. He had a great series. Johan Franzen makes it 2-1 in the second period with his 9th of the playoffs. Then Chris Versteeg ties it to make it 2-2, his 4th of the playoffs, and on the power play. Then the wheels kind of fall off for Chicago. Mikhail Samuelsson gets his 4th of the playoffs, and then Danny Cleary gets his 5th of the playoffs to make it then 3-2 and then 4-2, and those were only a minute and 30 apart. And then Henrik Zetterberg hits the empty netter, his 7th of the playoffs, and that makes it 5-2. Detroit wins 5-2. And Game 2, Hawks lose 3-2 in overtime. So this was a close game. This one kind of got away from them. This one was a lot closer. It starts off with Jonathan Toews scoring a power play goal, his 5th of the playoffs in the first. And then Brian Rafalski tying it up on Detroit's own power play with his 2nd of the playoffs. You go to the second period, Danny Cleary gets his 6th of the playoffs, make it 2-1. And then Jonathan Toews gets his 2nd of the game and ties it up in the third with his 6th of the playoffs. Then Michael Samuelsson on a great passing play. I remember this so vividly because I was crying afterward. Great passing play. It was like Filppula, Lidstrom or Rafalski, and Samuelsson. Samuelsson was back waiting for the shot. He shot it, got right over Javi Bulin. And Javi Bulin gets injured in Game 2 for Chicago, so that means Hue plays the rest of the series. And even a little bit of Corey Crawford at the end of Game 4, which we'll get to. So Detroit takes Game 2, 3-2 in overtime and have a 2-games-to-none series lead. And then the series shifts to Chicago, where the Hawks win 4-3 in overtime, but it's a game that you can't give up a 3-0 lead. As in the first, Patrick Sharp makes it 1-0, his 6th of the series, 6th of the playoffs. And then it was on the power play, and then Andrew Ladd makes it 2-0 a minute and 5 seconds later, his 3rd of the playoffs. And we go to the second period where Sammy Paulson gets his 2nd of the playoffs, 45 seconds in, he scores, and makes it 3-0. And then, in a span of 4 minutes and 30 seconds near the end of the second period, Lidstrom scores on the power play, his 4th of the playoffs, Rafalski gets his 3rd of the playoffs, and Jonathan Eriksson gets his 2nd of the playoffs, so 3 defensemen. They all score, and they tie the game up, and then there's no scoring in the third, so we go to overtime. The Hawks facing a possible 3-games-to-none series deficit if they lose this. And a minute and 52 seconds in, it's Patrick Sharp, who scores his 7th of the playoffs and gets the Hawks a win in the series, and that would be their only win. Then we go to Game 4, which 6-1 Detroit. They just let it fire. Detroit had more experience, they had more talent, they had more veteranosity, they had better goaltending in the series. And that's not even to mention, Datsuk didn't even play. Datsuk only played 2 games and had 2 assists. He didn't play 3 of those games, so if Datsuk was in the whole time, this could have been a lot worse. Game 4, Marian Hossa. This time, his 1 year in Detroit. This is it. He makes it 1-0 with a shorthanded goal for the Red Wings, his 5th of the playoffs. And then Johan Franzen makes it 2-0 with his 10th of the playoffs. We go to the second period. Valtteri Filppula gets his 1st of the playoffs on the power play. And then Jonathan Toews makes it 3-1 with his 7th of the playoffs on the power play. And then Marian Hossa scores his 2nd of the game. Back in the day when Hawks fans probably hated Hossa before getting him in free agency. Makes it 4-1 with the 2nd of the game, 6th of the playoffs. Then Zetterberg notches 2 goals, one at the end of the second to make it 5-1, and his 8th of the playoffs on the power play, and one in the third to make it 6-1 for the Red Wings, with his 9th of the playoffs on the power play. We go to Game 5, where Hawks lose 2-1 in overtime and lose the series, another close game. This is going to be all part of the what-if series that I'm going to do. What if the Hawks win every overtime game? What if they win this game? They already won this game, and what if they win this game? They have a 3-2 series lead. What happens then? That'll be a series we do probably during the summer because we'll have a lot of time. As there's not going to be hockey going on this year during the summer that much. So no scoring in the first or second period, and then Danny Cleary makes it 1-0, his 8th of the playoffs. He scored a lot this series. Oh my! I'm just realizing now he was a Blackhawk and when they were bad in the late '90s. You got Cleary 1, Cleary 2, Cleary 3, and I feel like I'm saying his name over and over again. I see him everywhere. I feel like I'm missing some. Okay, Cleary up the. Oh yeah, two Clearys here, Cleary here. That's 4. Cleary here. That's 5. Yeah. So a lot of Clearys. Now, Patrick Kane then ties it up to make it 1-1 with his 1st of the series, 9th of the playoffs. And then, in overtime, about 4 minutes in, Darren Helm finds an open net on QA, who the puck sneaks through and scores the goal to make it 2-1 for the Red Wings and eliminates the Hawks from the playoffs. And the Red Wings would then go to the final and then take a 2-0 and 3-2 lead on the Penguins, and then lose at home in Game 7, which is the back-to-back of the Penguins-Red Wings series. But that's not about what we talk about. We talk about what the playoff series stats were. And Filppula leads the Red Wings with 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points, so very good series for him. Cleary had 5 goals, no assists for 5 points. Hossa had 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, and Rafalski had 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points. Osgood went 4-1 with a .932 save percentage. He was excellent this series. And then Conklin was in during garbage time, I'm pretty sure, for one game. And he has a 100% save percentage, makes 7 out of 7 saves. And then for the Hawks, Toews gets 3 goals, 0 assists for 3 points. Bolin has 0 goals, 3 assists for 3 points. And Seabrook has 0 goals, 3 assists for 3 points. Those are your point leaders on Chicago. No one had more than 3. And then Havlat missed a game. He had 2 assists during the series. I already mentioned Datsuk had only played 2 games during the series. And then Javi Bolin, I mentioned, was injured in Game 2. He went 0-2 in the series with a .904 save percentage. UA went 1-2 with a .910 save percentage. And Crawford, in garbage time, makes 8 out of 9 saves. And has an 8. Actually, no. Conklin saved 9 out of 9. And then Crawford had an 857 save percentage with a 6 out of 7. I'm trying to remember these stats in my head, some of them. And then in the overall playoffs, I have the top 3 scorers, and then the goalies overall, all the goalies who played. Havlat leads the team in the overall playoffs. 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points. Kane has 9 goals, 5 assists for 14 points. Toews has 7 goals, 6 assists for 13 points. And that concludes the 2009 playoffs section. And there are a lot of names here that would be gone the next year. If the salary cap didn't exist, Havlat, without question, would be staying. If the Hawks had Havlat the next year as well, that team would be unstoppable. Then their top 6 would have been Toews, Kane, Sharp, Hossa, Havlat, and probably maybe Bufflin, I want to say. Because they had Brouwer playing on the second line, and then they had Versteeg, they had Bolin, they had Lat. This team had a great top 9 for sure. Their bottom 3 of them, Burish, Eager, Frazier, and then you put someone else in there or something like that. Those were a bit meh, but we'll say the Hawks maybe had probably the best top 9 in the league for that 2010 season. Because by the end of the next season, Hossa becomes a Hawk. Burrish hardly plays because he tears his ACL. Versteeg stays, Tays stays, Sharp, Ladd, Paulson's gone. Havlat's gone, Javi Boolin's gone, and yeah, so a lot of the big pieces that you see on the board. Havlat, Javi Boolin, they get shipped out because they need to sign Hossa, because the salary cap did in fact exist at this point. That's one grudge that I have against the salary cap. It prevented an even better Hawks team. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today, and that concludes 2009. We'll move on to 2010 round 1 next, which was against these guys up here in the Nashville Predators, and that is one of the most interesting series because it probably presented the Hawks with the toughest or maybe second toughest challenge that they had to do in that playoffs. So we'll see how that we'll do that tomorrow, and yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. See you guys next time. Goodbye.